Hey everyone, Kyle once again. Hey, welcome back to another video, and a little bit of a different, not a movie review, but just another video, well, it is a movie, but still it's a different type of video. So, um, I decided to just go down the list of films. I don't know, just popped into my head, just about to talk about quickly, just talk about the films that on the list of films that came out in 1991, the year I was born. So, just wanted to give us a little list of films that came out in 1991. Which I said it was the year I was born. So the films that came out in 1991 that was before I was born, then the films after in the year I was born. So like I said, I was born in June, so the films that came out before June and the ones that came out later afterwards. So, I don't know why. And of course, the 1991 had some plenty of good films that came out in 1991, the year I was born. So, and I won't be able to go through the completely entire list though, but I'll list all all the well-known films that I've enjoyed. So just going down the list, starting wherever. Like I said, I won't go through every single film though, but January, you have Lionheart, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. I really enjoyed Lionheart. What was early Van Damme's work, along with Bloodsport, and there was Kickboxer. Of course, I love Van Damme from which funny, like I said, I love Van Damme a lot more than Steven Seagal nowadays. If you get me, I mean, well, like I said, I love Seagal's early work, which I'll get to Seagal later on down this list. So, but Van Damme, just everything from Sudden Death, from Time Cop, Enemy later, which we worked with director Peter Hyams, like Time Cop, Sudden Death. Later on, years later, Enemies Closer, which he was kind of a fun bad guy in that. I love Van Damme from Universal Soldier and like I said, from My Heart Kickboxer, Bloodsport. But just a lot of films. Of course, how can I forget Hard Target? Hard Target, one of his best ones. I love Hard Target. But Lionheart, it was another good film that came out in 1991, and well, eventually, since I reviewed it, I won't talk much about it though, since I haven't reviewed it though. But regardless, I liked Lionheart, so that's one of them. And also to talk about well, this film stars one of the actors who I did not talk about, who passed away earlier, Warlock. I like the film quite a bit. Starting with I like the film quite a bit with Warlock, directed by Steve Miner, who directed Part 2 and Part 3 of Friday the 13th, Halloween H2O, Lake Placid. Really enjoy those films. And of course, sadly, Steve Miner, he directed the 2008 Day of the Dead remake. Now, why I mentioned also about this film because who passed away, because I did not put in this video. I did not do a video, and that was Julian Sands. Yes, I didn't do a video of Julian Sands. I just didn't get a chance to do it though. But he's the guy who stars in Warlock. Which I know Julian Sands. He starred in another film which I really enjoy, which I know more is in Arachnophobia. He was a professor who studied the spiders, of course, later towards the end of the film, which, why would he do this, though? But it's like, he's touching flinging the web, saying, supper's ready, come and get it, then the spider bites him, and then kills him, then it's when John Goodman discovers him covered in cobwebs and spiders. Oh my god, they got the professor. What happened with Julian Sands is like, before I know that he disappeared, and then they found him and he was dead, and I don't know what happened with Julian Sands. It's kind of a sad thing, you know. I'm like, did he just disappear and then they found him dead, I think? I don't know what the whole story was, though, but it was like, really? Oh, Julian Sands is gone? From a Warlock and Arachnophobia? Of course, he's been in other films, but those are the two films I remember him the most, though. So yeah, I just really say, Warlock I enjoyed, I love Arachnophobia. But just quickly say, rest in peace to Julian Sands. But Warlock... Moving on. February. The Neverending Story 2, the next chapter. Directed by George T. Miller, which I think he directed them. Not related other director George Miller. I don't think. Not George Miller, who directed the Mad Max films or the Happy Feet films. No, I think this is a different George Miller. George T. Miller. This one stars Jonathan Brandis, who plays the same kid character. Well, different because the kid in the first film is not the same kid from the first film, but Jonathan Brandis plays the same character from the first movie. Of course, Jonathan Brandis, sadly, he passed away years ago. You know, sadly. Which I remember him from starting the show Sequest with Roy Scheider, and of course I also remember him from the Chuck Norris film Sidekicks. But the Neverending Story, and yeah, John Wesley Shipp from the Flash TV show, the '90s. But yeah, I did not mind I like the first Neverending Story that Wolfgang Peterson directed. I guess the second film was... I haven't seen the second film forever, so I can't really call if I fully like the film still, though, but I guess, Anniversary Part 2, I think it was alright, I think. But, I can't fully say that because I haven't watched that film in years, it's been ages, so... But it's a Neverending Story 2. This is in February still. Sleeping with the Enemy. Sleeping with the Enemy, starring Julia Roberts. Which I thought was a pretty good thriller. You know, a wife just trying to getting away from her deranged, crazy husband, and her husband on this mission trying to, you know, get back together with her, you know. And you have a pretty good score by Jerry Goldsmith, which, like I said, my favorite composer. I love Jerry Goldsmith. We always had some good uniqueness to his music, you know. Especially also when the scene, the part of the good score, better score of that film was when Julia Roberts' crazy husband is stalking his wife along with her new hubby at the carnival, right? You see like this good shot where you see of her husband, and the red light is like reflecting on him, and you have that piece of Jerry Goldsmith score like dun 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 dun. So I mean, just like the creepy image of her direct deranged husband just like staring, you know, almost like wide eye with the red lighting reflecting on him. The good piece of Jerry Goldsmith's score. I thought Sleeping with the Enemy was a pretty decent thriller. And often you see Julie Roberts do a thriller, you know. So anyway, moving on. Valentine's Day in 1991, an all-time classic that I really love, and that is of The Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs. What could I say about this? Which I'll have to plan to review it though, because I really love the film. I mean, of course, it is the film that's is mostly well known to a lot of people for who knows of actors Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster. Anthony Hopkins put in his Oscar-winning performance as Dr. Hannibal Lecter, which I say which he says he did deserve to win that Oscar. This is back then when the Oscars were worth a shit, you know. Back then, this is when the Oscars were worth a shit. They made correct decisions on which award, and I say that yes, Anthony Hopkins, it was definitely the right choice. He deserved to win the Oscar for winning for best actor. I mean, his performance as Dr. Hannibal Lecter is memorable. Just had that Anthony Hopkins, just what he put into playing Dr. Hannibal Lecter is that just his presence in the movie, seeing just gives you that eerie, creepy feel, you know. Just the moment when the first shot when Jodie Foster is walking down the cells, right, and the first time you see the first shot you see of Anthony Hopkins in his cell, he's just standing there, you know, almost smiling, right, just calmly saying, casual saying, "Good morning." Just the way he was, like the way he's just standing there, you know, just standing there normally in the middle of a cell, just smiling, you know, and just, you know, instantly that Anthony Hopkins put a lot of time and effort to play this crazy doctor, right? Just everything about his performance is just like impeccable as Dr. Lecter. Of course, the most memorable line is, you know, a census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. And of course, Jodie Foster, who also won for Best Actress as FBI agent Clarice Starling, she did a fantastic job. She deserved her Oscar for it, which the film also won other Oscars for Best Director, Best Screenplay, and for Best Picture. This is back then when the Oscars gave a shit. I think it was like the only horror film that's won Oscars. I mean, The Exorcist was nominated but never won though. But I think that's like the only horror film that has like, yeah, even though it's more a thriller though, more than a horror though, but it does have its horror vibes to it. So yeah, you can kind of say it is like the only horror film that has won an Oscar, let alone 5 Oscars, you could say. But I love Silence of the Lambs, all-time classic, and it's one of the best performances you can see, especially from Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster. Oscar-winning jobs. Next one, I think is an underrated. It's a dark comedy, but I think it's kind of like an underrated comedy as well. And that is Nothing But Trouble. It stars and directed by Dan Aykroyd. It also stars Chevy Chase, Demi Moore, John Candy, may he rest in peace. Yeah, it's a dark comedy, but like the whole setting, like it's really like a little take on Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a way, just the way when Chevy Chase and Demi Moore, they go to this place, and it kind of reminds you a little bit like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the setting of the houses and stuff like that. For what I saw though, but I really enjoy. I like Nothing But Trouble. You have Dan Aykroyd in a double role, and wait, no, it was John Candy who does a double role because he played I think he played like a woman and then also a cop too. I haven't seen him forever though, but I do remember I do enjoy Nothing But Trouble, and I think it's an underrated comedy. I think I like Nothing But Trouble. I think Dan Aykroyd did a pretty competent job with the film. I think this is the only film he directed though. I think, for what I remember. But sadly, the film didn't do that well. I think it was a flop. Sadly, I mean, oh well. I mean, I enjoy the film. I think it's an underrated comedy. Let alone it's a dark comedy as well. So yeah, moving on. To March. The Doors, directed by Oliver Stone, starring Val Kilmer as the lead singer for The Doors. Honestly, I still have not seen The Doors, honestly. I mean, I like Val Kilmer, even despite with a a big cast, you know, like Meg Ryan, Kevin Dillon from the Blob remake, Kyle MacLachlan, McLaughlin, sorry, McLaughlin. There's no G in it, McLaughlin. Frank Whaley from Broken Arrow, Kathleen Quinlan from Event Horizon and Breakdown, Crispin Glover from the Willard remaking Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, Mimi Rogers, yeah, despite having a big cast, you know. I still have not seen The Door. Still have not seen The Door. So, but yeah, I know it's been on the band Doors, but I still don't fully see it. Plus, I'm not really the biggest Oliver Stone director. I mean, I enjoy Platoon, but I would say I'm overall not the biggest on director Oliver Stone. But I think the best one from his wife where I watched was Platoon. Here we go, and I have the film right here. Where is it? Which I did talk about, which I still think it's an underappreciated movie. If I can find it, I know I have it because it's right. Oh, here it is. Here we go. Which is funny. I discussed this one of the Steven Seagal movies that has basically the same title, but it's a much better movie though. The Perfect Weapon, with starring Jeff Speedman. I really enjoy the film. I think it's an underrated film. This film doesn't get talked about much. Yeah, even though I haven't talked about much over the years though, but I know I haven't though, but I still really enjoy the film. I saw this a lot of times back then, you know, years back, and I think that Jeff Speakman is an underrated actor, especially when it comes to as an action star. You know, I mean, I like Deadly Outbreak and Street Night. This one though, I think this is the that I really enjoy the most. I think this deserves a Blu-ray, a proper Blu-ray, I should say. And that's sad, you know. And this is definitely one of the ones I really enjoy that came out in 1991. This deserves a proper Blu-ray. Underrated action film. I really enjoyed it. The Perfect Weapon, and fuck the Steven Seagal 2016 movie, The Perfect Weapon. That's not a perfect weapon. That guy, Johnny Mesner, or whatever. No, Jeff Speedman, he's the perfect weapon. He is the man. He's the perfect weapon. That's what I have to say. He's the perfect weapon. Fuck the 2016 movie. Steven Seagal piece of shit movie. No. And moving on. Yes, and a sequel that I really do enjoy, and especially I just saw another film recently that just pissed me off, which that's gonna be a rant later on down the road though, which I'll be looking forward to that sometime though, but not right now though. But that film did piss me off, but the sequel I'm referring to is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze. I really enjoyed the sequel. I think it's a very fun. You could probably say campy, yes, but I had a fun. It was a fun sequel. I really enjoyed it because I love the 1990 film. I'm a big fan of the 1990 film. I grew up with that movie. I saw a lot of time on VHS, the first movie, and I really enjoyed it, you know. And since then, I became a Turtles fan because I later saw the 80s cartoon. Really enjoy that, and I also love the 2003 cartoon, which I'll do this in a separate video when I do another DVD update though. But I'll show it off anyway. Shit. Sorry. I'll pick those up afterwards. I was sketchy to getting this though because I don't know if it's like a, well, it says it's a remastered, well, the Ultimate Collection though, but well, I say though it's better than nothing though, but I wanted to give it a shot because I was sketchy about how they would release this. But the thing is, I've been saying for a long time this should deserve a proper DVD. Although I should say, it also deserves a proper Blu-ray update as well, a Blu-ray, you know. But yeah, this is the 2003 cartoon, but I'll do it like in a DVD at the Bell showed off anyway. But I really enjoy. I love the 2003 cartoon of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But I'll talk about some other time though. But I just showed off just to show off though. But the sequel in this from 1991, The Secret of the Ooze. I really enjoyed it. I had a fun time with the film. The only issue I have with the film is when you throw in Vanilla Ice. Which I know my brother, he enjoys Vanilla Ice and he enjoys the song, you know, Ice Baby Ice. You know, I'm not a fan of Vanilla Ice, and the film, of course, we sings a song, the Ninja Rap. You know, I did not like that. People probably like that, but I don't. I don't like the Ninja Rap song. And plus, you didn't need to put Vanilla Ice in a Ninja Turtles movie. I'm sorry. If people like Vanilla Ice, that's good on ya. I never was a fan of Vanilla Ice, and I did not like the Ninja Rap song. I don't. To me, and also the only issue, another issue I have with the film is the third act. You know, the final fight between the Turtles and Shredder when he becomes Super Shredder, which that Super Shredder is played by wrestler Kevin Nash. Sadly, though, that was such a very underwhelming, rushed finale. I think that the whole Super Shredder was wasted. Sad to say. But that's like the only other nitpick I have with the film, though. But other than that, though, I still really enjoyed the sequel, regardless, though. Just to leave out Vanilla Ice, could have done more with the whole Super Shredder ending, but I still enjoy the film, and because I thought it was still the suits and the mouth movements and the voice actors, and I think it's still on the Turtles, they still did their job pretty good. And still with the suits and on the mutants, yeah. Even though it's not Bebop and Rocksteady, though, it was a snapping turtle and a wolf, though. But I think I still like the costumes, the suits on those are still pretty good as well. I really enjoyed it though, despite those two issues though. But it's a lot better than the. Yes, I did see it. I saw the new animated film Mutant Mayhem, and that film pissed me off more. I don't want to think about it because I don't want to make my head hurt, give myself a headache or throw things in my room. Okay. Yes, I did see that, and it did piss me off. Okay. It's those two. It's that film and the Flash movie that are my two worst films I've seen this year. Because those films just piss me off more, especially that new anime film. I'll watch Secret of the Ooze anytime, any day of the week. So, yeah. So I really enjoy the sequel. Yeah. Now moving on. Into April. Here we go. When I mentioned Steven Seagal regarding about Van Damme. This is one of my two favorite two of my favorite Steven Seagal films, and that is Out for Justice. I love Out for Justice. It's this and Under Siege 2 Dark Territory are my two favorite Steven Seagal films. Out for Justice is another kick-ass film. Fun dialogue, great villain played by William Forsythe. Of course, it was Steven Seagal with his... People can make fun of Steven Seagal about his... See, I make fun of Steven Seagal, especially in his direct-to-video films, how much basically he doesn't give a shit nowadays. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. He's always looking bored. Now he's with that freaking goatee and the piss yellow glasses he always wears. You know. But I think so. For pretty much most of all the films, direct-to-video films I've been reviewing, I keep mentioning time and time again how much I loved his golden films, his early work. You know, like I said, this film. Under Siege 2, the first Under Siege, Above the Law, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, The Glimmer Man, Fire Down Below. Were those films are not that bad at all, you know. And Undeadly Ground, as an action film, I enjoyed. Okay, just leave out your whole environmental thing out of it, though. But I still like it I still enjoy it as an action film. But Out for Justice, I really love this and Under Siege 2. But I can make fun of Seagal. I can make fun of Seagal nowadays. But when it comes to Out for Justice, though, people back then make fun of his Brooklyn accent. I liked it, though. If anybody's seen Richie, anyone know why Richie did Bobby LeBeau? And just the action, you know, just like especially when you with the bar with the cue ball, just knocks that guy's teeth out, and of course that same guy kicks him against the brick wall. And fun actions with, you know, in the butcher shop, you know, takes a cleaver, sticks into a guy's leg, and it sticks into a guy's hand, and beats one guy with a piece of like a salami. He's like, you know, Richie's a bad guy, you know. My friends don't like him. Your friends don't like him. You got what I'm saying? You're hanging out with the wrong kind of people. Don't be a bad guy. Be a nice guy. And just William Forsythe, he was a great villain, and it's a character you just really hate. And just when Steven Seagal kicks his ass in the finale, just beats the shit out of him. And of course, with the whole thing with the guy who threw that dog out the window, the puppy, you know, with his shitty car, with the saying this bumper sticker, kill him all like God, sort him out, and of course at the end, kicks the guy in the balls, you know, just like he calls him, "Yo, fuck nuts." Yeah, so I like that. Yo, fuck nuts. You remember the guy who threw a puppy out the window of this car the other day? What's your fucking business? Because I'm an animal lover, you know. Animal lover. Look, asshole, you don't mind your fucking business, I'll stop you in a fucking plastic bag and I'll throw you out the fucking window. Oh, you tough guy? Well, tough guy, I'll show you how fucking tough I am. Goes and kicks the guy right in the balls. and then the dog goes and pisses on him. And then as he's walking away, talking to his wife, he's like, "Oh, Vic, look at here. Is that a police dog or what?" Yeah, I love Out for Justice. Under Siege 2 and this film are two of my all-time favorite Steven Seagal films. See, this is back then when he gave a shit, though. Yeah, he was still a hard guy to work with, though, but it showed that he had presence and charisma in the movie, you know? It didn't look like nowadays where he just looked bored out of his mind, sleepwalking, doesn't look like he really want to be there, or just mumbling or whispering his words nowadays. Here, he had personality in his... like in this character of Gino, you know, he had personality, charisma, you know, all that. When his directed video films nowadays, no, he has none of that. He's nothing but a complete fucking asshole now. Because like I said, he has an ego so far up his ass. I think he's better than Van Damme, like I mentioned. Van Damme nowadays, Van Damme is still in better shape than Seagal is, and he would kick Seagal's ass. You know. Steven Seagal, I have no respect for the guy anymore. You know, go stay in Russia with your little buck buddy Putin. Fuck him too. You know. But all that bullshit aside, I still love Out for Justice regardless, though. Back then when he gave a shit, and I love his early movies. You know. Such a great shame, you know. Just pisses me off. But yeah, that's Out for Justice. Also still in April, I would say an underrated comedy as well. Shows that Sylvester Stallone can stretch his acting in comedy, and that is of Oscar. I enjoyed Oscar. I thought it was a very funny comedy. Sorry, there was a freaking bug there. As I was saying, directed by John Landis, who directed American Werewolf in London, Three Amigos, Trading Places, among other comedies as well. The worst one I think he did was Beverly Hills Cop 3. That was the worst one. But John Landis, though, I think he did a good job with this one. And like I said, it shows Sylvester Stallone he can stretch his acting out in comedy, in doing comedy, as his character of this gangster named Snaps Provolone. And a very pretty decent cast also as well. I mean, you have Chaz Palminteri, who plays a very dim-witted gangster working with Stallone. Other ones, you have Marissa Tomei, who plays a daughter. Tim Curry, Don Michi, Kurtwood Smith is in it. Even Martin Ferrero, who plays the lawyer from Jurassic Park, he has a role in this. I had fun with Oscar. You know, Marissa, no, Teresa. Lord, who's not, what was his daughter's name? Was it Marisa, or, yeah, I think it was, no, Marisa, Teresa. And also, Kirk Douglas, who appeared, the father of Michael Douglas. He appears at the start of the movie as Stallone's dying father, right? You know, he's about ready to die until when he thinks he's like, I'm ready. And then he goes and slaps him, just a reminder. That's in case you don't forget. You know, because Sylvester Stallone, he's a gangster, right? And he made a promise to his father. His father made a promise to him to go straight, right? So it was a very fun comedy ensues, you know. So I really enjoyed Oscar. My brother, sadly, not so much, because he doesn't think Stallone can do comedy like that, right? Whatever. I mean, if he thinks he's unfunny in that role, but he ends up liking him in Spy Kids 3 with the multiple versions of himself, that I do not get. To me, that's one of Stallone's worst roles. I'm sorry, I don't like Spy Kids 3. Especially, I think it's one of the worst roles that Stallone did, with him and talking to his versions of himself. One's a scientist, one's a freaking hippie, and one's an acting general. I mean, to me that role of his just bugged the hell out of me. I mean, Stallone, he can do a better comedy, and this one shows where he can do it right here, and that is an Oscar. Sadly, this one didn't do that well. Sadly, though, but I liked Oscar a lot, quite a lot. And we move now into May. One Good Cop with Michael Keaton. I like that one with Michael Keaton. So it has Benjamin Bratt, Rene Russo. What About Bob? Directed by Frank Oz, and it starred Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss, which I probably explained before that during the making of the movie, Richard Dreyfuss disliked working with Bill Murray because, you know, Bill Murray, he's like with Steven Seagal, he's such a hard ass to work with. Which I don't blame Richard Dreyfuss, though, because like I said, Bill Murray, yeah, he is such a hard ass to work with. He is a hard ass to get along with, you know. Like with Scrooge, you know, he did not like director Richard Donner, may he rest in peace. He did not get along working with Bill Murray. And he treated his co-star Harold Ramis like shit during the making of Groundhog Day. I mean, come on, he directed you in Stripes, and you were co-starred with him in Ghostbusters. But and Bill Murray, great comedic actor. I enjoyed a lot of his work. Yeah, but yeah, he's exactly this. He's pretty much the same like Steven Seagal, you know. Why is it so hard? Why does it make it so hard to work with? You know, funny guy, but just like get your head at, same with Steven Seagal. I'll say the same thing to Bill Murray. You know, get your head out of your ass and stop with your well, not your head but your freaking ego as well. You know. Yeah, I didn't blame Richard Dreyfuss for what he had to say at the time though. I think he said he later on forgave. I don't know, but during that time, I didn't blame Richard Dreyfuss for not getting along with Bill Murray, because yeah, he is such a hard ass to work with. I get it. He is, for especially making it difficult for everybody. You know. I don't know why what some of these people are thinking is, just they have such these big egos and thinking just whatever. But I liked that's not film I also liked as well. But despite the feud though, still in May. Omen 4: The Awakening. Fuck that. Yeah, it's directed by the same asshole who directed Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers. Fuck that. No, I'm not talking about Omen 4. Fuck that. Well, okay. Here, getting back to some more good ones. Backdraft, directed by Ron Howard, with Kurt Russell, William Baldwin, Scott Glenn, Robert De Niro, Donald Sutherland. Okay, that's that. Now, okay, we're getting back on track now. Okay, that's another good one from director Ron Howard. Did it really need a sequel? No. Next, another one. I think I enjoyed this one quite a bit as well. It flopped when it came out. People did not like the film, but I liked it quite a bit. Hudson Hawk, starring Bruce Willis. I'm one of the few people that quite like Hudson Hawk. Because this is the year after he did Die Hard 2, and when this film flopped, he didn't his status went down a bit, you know. But later, at the end of this year in 1991, which I'll get to though, kind of rekindled his stardom again, his star status, you can say. But I like Hudson Hawk. I think I like that film quite a bit, honestly. Next, Thelma and Louise. That was one of the popular films from back then. Directed by Ridley Scott, starred Susan Sarandon, Gina Davis, Harvey Keitel, Michael Madsen, and Brad Pitt. That's one of the Ridley Scott films I didn't fully. From the past when I mentioned all the past times when I mentioned about Ridley Scott, Thelma and Louise didn't really come to mind, honestly. When I mentioned all of his good ones though, but I don't know why I did not mention Thelma and Louise. Two women, one was a housewife, one's a waitress, basically turned to crime, and then of course the whole ambiguous ending when they all just drive off the cliff of the Grand Canyon, and Harvey Keitel was about to go chase after them as they're going to drive off. Yeah, because they just wanted to keep going, you know. So, you know, them holding hands, and of course they just go and drive off the Grand Canyon. I think it was that they were at. Drive off to their deaths. Well, but better than being caught by the police. So, but yeah, that's a Ridley Scott that I don't mention a whole lot. I don't know why. But that was one of the popular ones of 1991. Great comedy film, City Slickers, starring Billy Crystal. Yeah, and Daniel Stern who played Marv from Home Alone. Which Daniel Stern, of course, not only he played Marv from Home Alone, but I also enjoyed him when he played in Chud and Leviathan. That's a criminally underrated creature feature film. I love Leviathan. And his six-pack, you know, when Peter Wells was telling him, I think I heard you call me Becky one more time, six-pack. I'm gonna pop your tops, all 6 of them. Yeah, but Daniel Stern in City Slickers, Billy Crystal, like I mentioned, Helen Slater, Supergirl from the 80s film, and it's directed by Ron Underwood, who directed Tremors. One of my all-time favorite films. Sadly, though, Ron Underwood, he would later direct that huge, abysmal flop, Adventures of Pluto Nash, with Eddie Murphy. Despite all that, I love Tremors regardless, though, one of my all-time favorites, and I enjoy City Slickers. Now, this is in June. This is during the time when I was born in June. As I mentioned, so yeah, City Slickers. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Directed by Stephen Herrick, who directed Critters and later the 1996 remake of 101 Dalmatians. And I thought it was a well, actually I haven't seen. Did I see Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead? Because it stars you have David Duchovny. And so it's Christina Applegate, who starred in Married with Children. John Getz from The Fly, the 80s remake of The Fly. I don't know. I don't remember. Did I remember watching Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead? I don't remember, though. But yeah. Yeah, so this is now during the time when I was born. Now we're in June now. So now the ones I mentioned before Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead or City Slickers, the one before that was before I was born. Now we're getting to the time in June when I was born now. That's it. City Slickers, Don't Tell the Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Another one of the big box office hits. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Starring Kevin Costner, Christian Slater, Morgan Freeman. Which the one I liked. I think it's the best interpretation of Robin Hood. I was not really a fan of Ridley Scott's 2010 remake with Russell Crowe. And I was not a fan of that one. I liked the Disney animated film of Robin Hood. But for live action, I think this one's the best interpretation of Robin Hood. It's directed by Kevin Reynolds, who directed with Kevin Costner of Waterworld. The Rocketeer. The Disney film The Rocketeer, directed by Joe Johnston, who directed Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, The Pagemaster, Jurassic Park 3, Jumanji, and the 2010 remake of The Wolfman. I like The Rocketeer quite a lot. I think it's an underrated Disney film. But it was during the time when were doing the mid-90s, when doing superhero films. And they were kind of dying off. They were not making the box office. A lot of them were flops. And The Rocketeer did not make the much money, sad to say. Too bad, because I enjoy The Rocketeer. To me, that's one of the better Disney superhero movies you can say. I mean, among of the cast, you have Billy Campbell, who plays the Rocketeer. I think he did a good job. You have Jennifer Connelly, Alan Arkin, former James Bond Timothy Dalton, Terry O'Quinn from Stephen King's Silver Bullet, the original The Stepfather. But I like the Rocketeer quite a lot. I really enjoyed that film. The sequel, The Naked Gun, 2.5, The Smell of Fear. Once again with Leslie Nielsen, I like the sequel. Then we get into July, of course. Now we get to the biggest film of 1991, the biggest box office hit of 1991, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Yep, 1991's biggest film of the year. And although say I still enjoy the sequel, it's still a great sequel, awesome sequel. I'll still say though, but I will really have to say though, probably some people get pissed at me though, but I still think the first Terminator from '84, I still think that's the best one still, because if they made it, James Cameron made it more like a horror film. This is how the way visually the film was. It was more of a horror film, right, than just pure science fiction. with Arnold's presence as the Terminator and the score by Brad Fiedel. It just made it more of like a creepy horror film, you know. But I don't know how else to put it though, and especially with the whole the police station massacre, you know. But I still think it's still to me the first Terminator is still the best one though. But Terminator 2 is still right there. It's still an awesome sequel regardless though. Arnold Schwarzenegger once again, great job as the Terminator. Robert Patrick, phenomenal as the T-1000. Edward Furlong as John Connor, yes, he still did a good job. Linda Hamilton as well. The much improved effects by Stan Winston, and once again another great score by Brad Fiedel, and once again well directed by James Cameron. Back then James Cameron was good, you know. Still a lot better than his Avatar films. I don't give a shit about his Avatar films. To me, the last good film was True Lies '94, and yes, I don't give a shit about Titanic either. To me, it's an overrated movie. I have no more to say on that though. But I enjoy Terminator 2. Like I said, during the time when Terminator 2 was released, I was only a month old, you know. Yeah, I know. I can't believe it. I was only a month old when Terminator 2 came out. Jeez. God, I feel so old now. Man. Hasta la vista, baby. Memorable line. I still love Terminator 2 though, but the first one I still think is the best one though. Next, Point Break. When I mentioned when I reviewed Hot Fuzz. So though this is a pot because Hot Fuzz, you know how Hot Fuzz was poke funny, you know, with Bad Boys 2 in this film. How it was because our character that Danny played by Nick Frost, how much he enjoys both those movies. You know, how it references that when Keanu Reeves was shooting up in the air. I totally understand why they picked that one because it was a good action film in the '90s. You know, well among people though, but I understand why people think it's a good action film. To me personally, as I mentioned before, I'm not really big on Point Break. You know, yeah, it's directed by Catherine Bigelow, who later directed The Hurt Locker, which I enjoyed. Yeah, and he has Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, Gary Busey, and it may seem it has a good cast of a good movie and good director though. It just the whole film itself, I just couldn't really be big on. Yeah, it was cool to see Patrick Swayze in a villain role than he usually does. I always enjoyed Keanu Reeves. I enjoyed Gary Busey, but it just never really grabbed me though. That's the thing. I think I put it. It just never really I just could never really grasp that feel of Point Break. But yeah, it was cool in Hot Fuzz. They referenced Point Break because it was among the good action films as well. Among people it was, but I just couldn't really get into Point Break though, honestly. But it was cool. It was cool that they referenced it in Hot Fuzz though. But yeah. But Point Break, yeah. Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure, Bogus Journey. I enjoyed that sequel. Fuck the third film. The Face of Music, whatever it was. Bill and Ted. Fuck the third film. I'll stick with Bogus Journey. To me, that was the better ending. Now with the third film, like oh, they're not the heroes in that movie. It's their daughter's the hero. Great, to prove that the women are much better than men, and men are stupid. You know. Yeah. Take your stupid agenda and shove it up your ass. Another good comedy with stars Charlie Sheen, Hot Shots. I really enjoyed Hot Shots. It with Cary Elwes, Lloyd Bridges, Kevin Dunn is also in there as well. I like Hot Shots. I even like the sequel, Hot Shots Part 2, you know. Next, Body Parts. I think it started directed by Eric Red, who was the writer of the original The Hitcher, and I think he also directed he also directed Bad Moon. It was at the time when that werewolf film came out. Eric Red directed. I think I like that. Yeah, I do like that werewolf film. It was called Bad Moon. Yeah. Body Parts. This stars Jeff Fahey. You got Brad Dourif in there. I think I like Body Parts. Next, see what this is in August now. Moving on. I think it's an underrated action film. Showdown Low Tokyo, starring Dolph Lundgren, Brandon Lee, and in it. And it's directed by Mark L. Lester, who directed Commando. I really enjoyed Showdown Low Tokyo. I reviewed this film a long time ago, actually. And Kari Hiroyuki Takawa, that's the guy who played in the villain in Mortal Kombat as well. And he also starred that guy started in Rising Sun as well. I really enjoyed Showdown Low Tokyo. It was another fun action film. Brendan Lee, rest in peace. You know, Dolph Lundgren was fun in the role. Child's Play 3. To me, that was the last good Child's Play film. To me, this one they made it more darker. It was much more darker than the previous two. Yeah, they rushed the sequel because this came out in 1991. It was like 8 months or so after the release of Child's Play 2 that came out in November of 1990. So Child's Play 3 was very rushed, you know, and it didn't do that well more than the second film did. But regardless, I enjoyed Child's Play 3. I liked the location it was at the military academy. I think Justin Whalen, he did a pretty good job as an older Andy Barclay. Brad Dourif was once again as good as the voice of Chucky. Still very decent effects of the Chucky doll as well. Some pretty decent kills. Andrew Robertson from Hellraiser and the first Dirty Harry film, you know, as Botnik. No, not Dr. Robotnik though, but Botnik. As he's their barber, you know, and Chucky slits his throat. Presto, you're dead. And also good set pieces more at the carnival, and of course with the most dangerous roller coaster you can ride in a fair, you know, because you have an actual animatronic skeleton with a actual sharpened scythe, you know, it takes Chucky's face off. I'm like, this is the most dangerous ride you can ride on, right? I mean, because you have an actual stuff that can actually kill you, you know. I mean, it just literally took Chucky's face off, and you're having this thing where people can ride in. I'm like, this is the most dangerous ride you can just ride on, you know. And I enjoy Child's Play 3. To me, this is the last good Chucky film. And when I mentioned my Q&A about what I said about Bride of Chucky, yeah, it would be a rant now. To me, I would pretty much say now, fuck Bride of Chucky. Fuck that film, along with the rest of the sequels. Fuck Seed of Chucky, fuck Curse of Chucky, and fuck Cult of Chucky and a TV show. Freaking Dom Mancini. Or you could say fettuccine, you know, because it rhymes with it. Yeah, Dom Mancini. Go eat some fettuccine, just like how your last name is. That's what it should be called, you know. Yeah, to me, I just think it was a mistake. It was a mistake when they started doing it and going the comedy route now. It was. You know, I hate Jennifer Tilly. Okay, she needs to stop showing up in these sequels, even the TV show, for crying out loud. To me, Child's Play 3 was the last good one. To me, I'm sorry, people can disagree with me on that though, but to me, it was the last good Chucky film. September. Freddy's Dead. The Final Nightmare. I like that sequel. But yeah, it was definitely better than the fifth one, The Dream Child. I mean, you have a cameo appearance by Alice Cooper, Johnny Depp, you know. But I don't think that one's not as bad, you know. What? Because it throws now they put in Freddy's daughter in it. The late Yaphet Kotto, I thought he was good in the film too. Cool to see. It was cool to see him. And just how we just went to take out Freddy, you know, just with a pipe bomb and just good explosion. Yeah, the only issue I have was the flying CGI flaming faces, whatever, you know. Try to do it for a 3D effect though, that didn't work, you know. But I still liked Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. Oh, I also forgot to mention Tom Arnold has a cameo as well. Freddy's dead. Now October, Suburban Commando with Hulk Hogan and Christopher Lloyd, sadly, and Shelley Duvall. Hulk Hogan. I mean, the only thing he was good at was when he was in Rocky 3, you know, as Thunder Lips. Yo, Adrian, catch me! Ernest Scared Stupid, my favorite Ernest movie. To me, yeah, that's my favorite of the Ernest movies. As I mentioned before, you know, Paul Reubens, aka Pee Wee Herman, rest in peace. You know, I didn't grow up with Pee Wee Herman though. To me, I was always an Ernest P. Worrell guy. I know from Ernest Saves Christmas and Ernest Goes to Jail, or in the Army, and all the early ones. But to me, Ernest Scared Stupid, I think the Ernest Scared Stupid was my favorite of the Ernest films. Jim Varney, rest in peace. You know, it was always been as good as Ernest P. Worrell. I really enjoy Ernest Scared Stupid. The Taken at Beverly Hills, I think that's a kind of an underrated action film. I'll have to talk about that one day. When I mentioned Vanilla Ice in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, as I mentioned Vanilla Ice, of course he has his film Cool as Ice. I don't like Vanilla Ice. My brother does. He can like him, you know. Cool as Ice. No, I don't like Vanilla Ice. So I'm not bothering with that one. November. A lot of people hate this film. It's considered one of the worst movies ever made, and it's a sequel. Highlander 2: The Quickening. Even my dad doesn't like the sequel. To me, I don't think it's not as bad as people make it out to be. You know, I know people probably get another one people probably get mad at me for though, but I actually like Highlander 2: The Quickening. I know people can sue me all they want. I'm one of the few people that likes it. Okay. I mean, one of the worst movies ever made on the list. I mean, it's better than Jaws 4: The Revenge, or better than Batman and Robin, which those are considered one of the worst movies ever made. I can say that Highlander 2: The Quickening is better than those movies, or better than some of the recent ones that are on the worst movie list. I don't think it's not as bad as I think it is. Yeah, Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery comes back. You know, maybe you have Michael Ironside. I enjoy that. I enjoy that actor. Virginia Madsen from Candyman. John C. McGinley is in a role in as well. Highlander 2, I don't think it's not that quite as bad though, but hey, it's to each their own. Another one. Next is another fun film from the late director Wes Craven. I enjoyed the film as well. The People Under the Stairs. I really enjoyed the film. I thought I think that Brendan Brendan Adams, the kid. I thought he did a really good job for a kid who held his own against these two crazy brother and sister. I thought he held his own pretty well. And at the end, he's like, he's about to blow the money up. I don't want to kill you, but I will do it anyway. I'm tired of fucking around. Evan McGill was good as the villain, the crazy. Vig Rhames for the small role he had. I really enjoyed The People Under the Stairs. Next we have the 91 remake of Cape Fear, directed by Martin Scorsese. So Robert De Niro as the villain. It was a very crazy role for him. Nick Nolte and Juliette Lewis starring from Dusk Till Dawn. Robert De Niro did a good job playing a very crazy person. So the 91 remake of Cape Fear. The Addams Family. I enjoy the first Addams Family film. The sequel, American Tail, Thieveau Goes West. I think I like that film. The first one was still the best though. Next, yes, the Disney masterpiece. The 91 version of Beauty and the Beast. Yep. I love the original Beauty and the Beast. I thought it was a very well animated film. Very well animated film. The voice cast did a really great job as well. The music, and especially also the score. Not the score, but the song that's later sang by Celine Dion and Peabo Bryson. Which it won the Oscar for. Very well. It's another one considered it's a Disney masterpiece for me, because it was also among one of the Disney Renaissance films as well. I love the original Beauty and the Beast. An all-time Disney classic. Then now again in December we got Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, which I really enjoyed. I always enjoyed the original Star Trek series, the movies. Even though I like the 3, The Search for Spock, I even like The Final Frontier. My dad enjoys the Part 5, The Final Frontier. But I really enjoy Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. Our original cast members once again did a great job. The late Christopher Plummer as General Chang. Him is reciting his Shakespeare lines. To be or not to be. Yeah, the Undiscovered Country I enjoyed a lot. Next we got Steven Spielberg's version of Peter Pan, Hook. After seeing other versions of Peter Pan that failed, this one I basically have no problems with anymore. I love Robin Williams. Rest in peace to Robin Williams. Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook. Bob Hoskins, another one. Rest in peace, as Smee. Maggie Smith. Julie Roberts as Tinkerbell. After watching so many failures of versions of Peter Pan, this one I have no problems with anymore. I don't. So yeah, I like Hook. Back then I was like, not really big on though, but nowadays, yeah, I changed my mind. I enjoy Hook now. I mean, after the 2003 failure version of that, then you have the 2015 failure version with Hugh Jackman, and then the one from last year, their version of Peter Pan. To me, with this one, I think I prefer Best. You know, because of that, I don't have any issues or problems with that film anymore. Next, and this is why I said earlier about Bruce Willis with the failure of Hudson Hawk. This one that just rekindled his star status. One of my favorite, another favorite of from one of two of my favorite films from director Tony Scott, as I mentioned, brother of director Ridley Scott. The Last Boy Scout. I love the Last Boy Scout. Love that film to death. It's one of my top two favorite films from director Tony Scott. Bruce Willis and Damian Wayans. Yes, that's another thing with once again that people not getting along. Bruce Willis and director Bruce Willis did not get along with director Tony Scott or Damian Wayans. But at least, to me, I think at least Bruce Willis at least owned up to his mistakes. The difference between what built him, Bill Murray, and Steven Seagal. At least Bruce Willis was humble about it. I think he is, because yeah, it sucked. It sucks that it is still sad about his diagnosis now. Sad to say. And it seems like he's a loving dad as well with his kids, and also a husband as well. Even though it's good that he's still friends with his ex-wife Demi Moore, and it shows that he is a fun dad, even ex-husband or another husband and ex-husband at the same time, But at least, from what I see, at least Bruce Willis, he looks like he owns up to his mistakes, or admit his mistakes, being humble about it. But I think that's the difference. Yeah, back then, he's a hard ass to work with because he's one of those tough guy actors, from doing Die Hard and or Striking Distance or those other good action films, but at least I think he'd be if Tony Scott was alive nowadays. I don't know if Damian Wayans. Wonder if he still talks to Bruce Willis. I don't know, but from what I see, at least it seems that Bruce Willis, he would seem like he would own up his mistakes. Unlike with Bill Murray or Steven Seagal, they would not admit it though. They would not apologize. At least I think Bruce Willis would. I think. But I love The Last Boy Scout. For the great action I enjoy, especially when one of my favorite moments is when when he says, "If you touch me again, I'll kill you," and just goes in with the actor Kim Coates, just goes in, pushes his nose right into his brain. I told you. I love The Last Boy Scout. Even though it was not a box office hit though, but it was a huge hit on home video. Then you got Oliver Stone's other film that came out this year, JFK. I'm not really big on director Oliver Stone. To me, I think this best one is Platoon. So, but that's pretty much about it. I didn't get through the whole list of films though, but yeah, these are the films that came out in 1991. This was like I said, this is the year I was born. The films that was released before I was born, and then the films that were released later in the year after I was born. I mean, a lot of films I really enjoy, like from Star Trek VI, The Last Boy Scout. Yeah, some of the ones I'm very few people that like certain films, like Highlander 2: The Quickening, or Hudson Hawk. But the other great ones, like I love Terminator. I enjoy Terminator 2. Silence of the Lambs, I enjoy. This is like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, I enjoyed. Beauty and the Beast, Child's Play 3, The Perfect Weapon, underrated film. The Perfect Weapon. Out for Justice, I love. So, just one of the other, and Oscar, I think is underrated comedy as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of these movies, But yeah, it was a pretty good year for films that came out during the 1991. The year I was born, So a lot of pretty good films. Like Terminator 2 was the biggest hit of that year. But Silence of the Lambs, deserve the Silence of the Lambs deserve those Oscars. Like I said, with Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster as well. And Out for Justice, with two of my favorite Steven Seagal films. But yeah, Secret of the Ooze, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, fun sequel to. Not Vanilla Ice though, just leave that out. And I'm not a fan of him anyway. I guess as I mentioned though. But I really enjoy a lot of those movies that came out in 1991. So yeah, got over an hour in. My goddamn man, didn't want to take that long though, but oh well. But I didn't get through all the lists, otherwise it'd take it even longer, you know. So I better end it right here. Rest in peace to Julian Sands, you know, starting from Warlock and Arachnophobia. Rest in peace to Julian Sands. I know I didn't mention before though, but among other ones, 1981. It was a good year for the time the year I was born into. So, but if you enjoy it, if you enjoy this video or any of these films that's mentioned in this on this list, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time. Later.